Hello everyone, welcome to My Immigration Story. I am your host Sujata Ramdeke. This is an ongoing series where we bring to you stories of immigrants from varied backgrounds, and we hope to shed some light on the challenges and the triumphs experienced by these immigrants in America. And today we have with us Deanna Vicol Staples. Hi Deanna, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Deanna, tell us a little bit about yourself, like where are you from, what country you come from, and what do you currently do for living here?
So I am originally from Moldova, which is a small country in Eastern Europe, situated between Romania and Ukraine. And up until recently, I was a student at Emerson College studying visual media arts. I took a leave of absence because I recently became a mom. My son is a year and 9 months.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And I'm planning and hoping to go back to school back in the fall if I can find scholarships or qualify for a loan. But I have also done other work since I've been here.
So when you came from Moldova to US, was that like a student visa, F1 visa?
I don't remember the name of the visa. I came originally in high school as an exchange student for only 1 year. I was only 16, so it was a while back. In 2008, 2009 is when I came as an exchange student.
No, it's been a long time for you to be here.
I went back after that 1 year, so I went to college in Romania and in China, and then I came back later in 2014.
So you must have come here on exchange visa, right? Student exchange visa. So
yeah,
since then, have you had to have like convert your visa into like student visa, and then in order to stay here more in the US, what did you have to do?
So, like I said, originally I came as a student in high school, and I met my future husband in my psychology class. So I went back to Moldova to finish high school after that 1 year, and then I went to college in other countries. So later we got married in my country, and I joined my husband in 2014 in the States.
So when you came here in 2008, 2009, it was a high school exchange. So, I'm assuming you were pretty young to kind of, exploring a new country. So how was your experience when you was that the first time? First of all, was that the first time you came to United States?
Yes, it was my first time in the United States, and it was actually my first time being away from my parents anywhere. So it was a really interesting new experience for me. I was placed with a family in a very small town in rural Maine. So it was different because even though Moldova is a small country, it's a very poor country. My hometown was even bigger than the town that I was placed in America. So it was a bit of a different America than I've seen from the movies, But it was definitely interesting. It was a year full of different experiences. It was very interesting.
What difference did you find when you were studying back in Moldova in your school, and then you moved here? What was the difference in the high school, like like a school culture or study culture, or the teen culture? Like, how did you find it like different than Moldova?
It was quite different. Something that was surprising to me is that I can pick my classes, what I can study. That was actually something I enjoyed. In Moldova, I think we have like 14 different classes in high school that we have to do every week. And it seems very complex. And in America, it seemed a lot more geared to each individual student, and also a bit more hands-on, like in the science classes where we're actually doing experiments. So that was different from Moldova.
Yeah,
And
I
I
think
think it,
US, like education in US is more practical, more application based than theoretical. What we study, because I'm from India, so we have a quite a lot of very stringent structure that is not adaptable for individual students' needs. Like you have to do these many classes no matter what, and it's very theoretical. Like you don't have as much practical application based projects, or that I'm talking about the master's level, but I'm pretty sure that cascades down to like high school level as well.
yes, definitely.
So when you came here, what were like you were pretty young, so there definitely must have been like from Moldova to here. I'm not sure about the weather, if it was like okay for you, but like language, right? Were you always fluent in English back from Moldova, or you faced some challenges when you got here?
No, not at all. I wasn't always fluent, but I did start studying English quite young. In Moldova, the main language is Romanian, but many people also speak Russian. And usually kids start studying either one or two foreign languages in kindergarten and elementary school and upwards. So I started studying English in kindergarten, and then in elementary school. It's actually quite ironic because I was one of the worst at English back then, but I persevered, and when I was already in high school, I put a lot of effort into it. So eventually I got better, and not it was a process. I was fortunate to participate in this program, Future Leaders Exchange, that gave me the opportunity to come to the United States. And when I came, that definitely helped me improve my language a lot. I thought that especially people my age spoke very fast. So during that year, I think my language improved a lot. But then when I went back to college in Romania, I also studied English. And when I came back to the United States in 2014, I started working as a tutor, and then I got a sales job. So that really put me out of my comfort zone and forced me to talk to a lot of different people on the phone, in person. So I think my language has improved a lot.
Were there any other barriers if you leave language behind, like if you take language out of the equation? Were there any other barriers? Because you came in high school, right? We hear a lot of stories about like high school, kids who don't fit in kind of get bullied, and there are a lot of things goes on during those teenage years, like because for me back in my country as well, teenage years are not as I see it in United States, right? We are very confined, we have to live with our parents, but like it's 24/7 watch, like of our parents on us, what we are doing, are we studying or not, who we are meeting. That's quite, it's very overwhelming. I haven't seen that here in US. So what do you think, like were there like these kind of stuff, like you felt more freer, or were there any constraints for you, or any other barriers other than language?
Well, I grew up pretty shy, so I wasn't bullied, but I felt a little bit isolated because I think there was some cultural barrier, so I wasn't really sure how to relate very well to the kids back then. So yeah, it was a little bit lonely sometimes, but I was fortunate to do many different activities, so that kind of made up for it. Plus, I got to watch a lot of movies during my free time. And I think that also helped both with my language learning and the passion for movies that I developed later on.
I would like to, go back to Moldova a little bit. There's quite a lot of history of Russia with Moldova. It is between Ukraine and Russia, with current events like, when Russia invaded Ukraine. Was there like any effect on Moldova per se?
Yes, definitely. And many people don't know that the situation that's happening in Ukraine, something very similar happened to Moldova about 30 years ago.
Can you please explain a little bit like what exactly happened? Because we also have one of the documentaries that you shared with us. We would like to show that to our audience as well. So why don't we do this? Let's watch that documentary, and then we'll get back to hearing your story as well.
Awesome.
Let's watch the beautiful documentary that we have.
I was born and raised in Moldova, a small country in Eastern Europe situated between Romania and Ukraine. Now I live in the US, but my parents are still there. At the end of December 2020, both my parents and my grandma, who was bedridden at the time, got ill with COVID-19. We hoped it was going to be an easy case, but soon my dad had to be hospitalized and I rushed home. The days that followed were the most difficult to bear in my life, since we couldn't communicate with Dad because he was in the ICU and there wasn't a system in place to notify families of their loved ones' conditions. The days seemed to pass by in a blur. I was in a dreamlike state from continuously crying and praying, not being able to sleep or eat. All we could do was wait and hope that Dad was somehow able to feel our love when the regular means of communications weren't available. Fortunately, after a week, Dad was able to be transferred from there, unlike the man to his right and to his left who passed away. In December 2021, death came close to our family again, but this time it took my grandma. Just a couple months later, Russia invaded Ukraine, the country neighboring Moldova. The border is less than an hour away from my hometown. The year I was born, a similar war on a smaller scale took place in the east of my country, also caused by Russia. My dad, who was working in the police, had to go to this war less than 2 months after I was born.
Deci, Republica Moldova, fiind recunoscută la 1 martie 1992 de Organizația Națiunilor Unite ca stat independent, s-a întâlnit cu provocarea prin care trece azi Ucraina. În noaptea următoare au fost atacate posturile comisariatului de poliție din Transnistria și asta a fost făcut cu un singur scop, să fie destabilizată situația, să nu poate fi confirmarea statului, mai ales majoritatea populației din Transnistria asta sunt oameni, așa cum se spune aici la noi, rusofoni, adică sunt ruși care, și mai ales pensionari militari, îi aranjau aici la trai cu sutele și cu miile, pentru că locurile sunt bune pentru trai, Odessa e alături, Marea e alături, totul e foarte bine. Și de ce nu vroiau o despărțire de Rusia de Vicol și au făcut provocările astea și a trebuit să opunem rezistență, dar nu s-a dorit ca tot din teamă față de Rusia, pentru că normal că era teamă comparat la Republica Moldova și Rusia, nu s-au hotărât să declare că este un război, un atac rusesc, dar s-a declarat că este o manifestare teroristă și din cauza asta, deci armata nu poate să participe la operațiunea asta. Și armata Moldovei nu a participat pentru că nu se declară că este război. Au fost trimise trupele de poliție, poliția a fost aplicată și voluntari. Iată, de pe 2 martie, mai, iunie, iulie, 3 luni jumate, da, a durat acest conflict. A fost un război adevărat pe linie, drept că, da, tot spre... Adică în oraș au fost la Benver lupte și distrugere în oraș, adică care ar asemăna ceva cu acești trece acum în Ucraina, asta a fost la Benver. În general, eu nu sunt omul războiului, ei la război nu ne-a plăcut. Nu ne-a plăcut, da, dar m-a oferit Dumnezeu că n-am nimerit în locurile unde au fost luptele cele mai grave, asta da, vreau să vă spun. Să nu ne atribui meritele care nu le am eu, dar în același timp eu am mers acolo unde m-au trimis, acolo am stat. Dar unde am stat eu la Coșnița, în prima dată la poziție, ne s-au anunțat ultimatum că data tare la ora 10 seara, dacă nu ne retragem dincolo de Nistru, a să fim atacați de tancuri. Și taman așa se întâmpla că noi ne schimbam pe poziție, noi stăm pe poziție de 24 de ore. Și schimbul era la ora 6 seara. Și deci noi taman ne meream la ultimatumul ăsta, veneam pe 6 seara și la 10 trebuia să fim atacați de tancurile rusești. Și am mers, nu a refuzat nimeni să meargă pe poziție, am mers, am stat și iarăși ne ferit Dumnezeu, nu s-au hotărât ei la atacul ăsta. Tot din timp poate s-au gândit la rezonanța mondială, cumva, dar am auzit tancurile, toată noaptea s-au auzit tancuri. Și erau băieți care au făcut slujba la tancuri și îi spuneau, zice, ăsta e tank de ăsta, ăsta e de cealaltă. Tot am stat. Pe pozițiile de alături erau voluntari care au cântat toată noaptea, au luat muzică cu dâns și aveau de tipul la căsuța noastră cu ușor de nebunie și așa mai departe. Vreți o legătură cu război? De fapt, cei mai mari simți de frică adevărată, care n-am simțit-o niciodată în viață, așa știi, de instinct animale care simțeau că pot să nebunească acolo. Am simțit de fapt când mergem pe drum. Prima dată ne ducea la război, undeva la jumătate de drum s-a oprit, acolo era ceva unde era apă, pateuri, bere, care își vrea și lua, ne-a mai dus, care la viceau, care îți mai fumează țigară și ea ca acolo. Atunci, când m-am coborât, am simțit o spaimă așa de mare, în zi frumoasă de mai, cald, bine, rost. Am simțit că drept înclănțăneau dinții. Nu știam de unde s-o luat și cu ce ocazie și așa spaimă pe urmă n-am mai tras.
30 years later, on April 22nd, 2022, just as Moldova handed over the first part of its EU membership questionnaire, new threats were made towards our state by Moscow, and the following Monday, on April 25th, 2022, there was an explosion at one of the state buildings in Moldova's separatist region of Transnistria. The next day, on April 26th, 2 military bases were attacked, and on Wednesday, April 27, a couple of radio towers were destroyed, all of which resemble typical Russian instigation tactics. Russia never gave up its imperialistic aspirations, destroying people's lives and destabilizing the world order once again. All we can do now is wait and hope for the best.
That was wonderful. So Diana, tell us a little bit about that documentary, how it happened, and also a story that you mentioned 30 years back. The similar event happened, what happened in Ukraine, but I think it is not much known because there was some political, influences and a lot of other things, and military did not get involved. So explain us, what exactly happened.
Mm-hmm. So I decided to do this documentary for a class at Emerson. I took a documentary class and I had to interview someone, and I really look up to my dad. Plus, we went through some difficulties with COVID, and shortly after, I decided to interview my dad about the COVID story and how it happened in Moldova, the situation in the hospitals and so forth. Shortly afterwards, Russia invaded Ukraine. So I thought there is no way I'm making this documentary and I won't talk about it. It's so relevant right now. So yeah, Moldova is a very small country. It actually was at the crossroads of many more powerful empires throughout history. The Ottoman Empire, Russian Empire back in the past, and Austro-Hungarian Empire. So it really is a miracle that it survived and it's independent now. But for a great part of history, Moldova was part of Romania, and that's why we speak Romanian language. And for a long time, we wanted to be reunited, but for various reasons, we couldn't, mainly because Russia was opposed to it. And Moldova was also part of the Soviet Union until it fell apart and Moldova became independent. So after Moldova became independent, Russia still wanted to maintain influence. So they created this incursion, if you want to call it this, in something similar. I'm sorry, where they also attacked certain key places in Moldova, so that Moldova cannot maintain its independence or be reunited with Romania. So it was a tough time because the size of a country and its resources, it's hugely different. So it really couldn't stand a chance if it would have been declared a full-scale war. So there were many courageous people that decided to stand up in the face of such a imminent danger. And fortunately, Moldova was able to keep its independence, but that area, Transnistria, it's still a separatist region, which is an obstacle in many aspects when Moldova is trying to join the European Union. Is just a gray zone about that area.
Tell us more about like the COVID, the documentary that you made, with your father. Tell us that story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my parents got infected with COVID, and initially we didn't know how serious it was going to be, but shortly my father had to be hospitalized, and I decided to go there to be with my mom. And also I think it was very important to my dad morally to know that I'm nearby, that I came to be there. So it was very difficult because it's not, I'm sure the situation was overwhelming for the hospitals here in the States, but I think there is already certain structures in place where you can call in and ask about a patient, and that wasn't available in Moldova. So for many days we had zero communication with my dad or about my dad. No one could tell us how he is, if he's even alive. So that was just one of the most difficult times in my life for sure, just not knowing what's happening.
Yeah. And your family still lives back in Moldova, right?
Yes, my immediate family, my parents. Moldova is a very small country, but still about a third of the population emigrated to various countries throughout the world, and particularly in Europe, because there are very limited work opportunities. So especially many young people go to work abroad. And I have a lot of family in other countries as well.
When you were there any, when you were growing up and even now, are there like any social taboos that still exist in Moldova that really shouldn't? And when you come here, you find it like, oh, this doesn't exist here like at all. Does that surprise you? Any such thing that surprises you, that it's so prevalent, which is wrong, a wrong thing prevalent in Moldova, but when you come here, you find it doesn't exist and it is considered wrong here. So are there any things?
As far as social taboos, I'm not really sure. I can't think of anything right now, but I would say that right now there is still a lot of corruption in Moldova, which we inherited from being part of Soviet Union. I think it really put our development backwards for a significant amount of time. And even though I'm very happy that we have a progressive female president right now, Maya Sandu. She actually went to school here in Boston, and she's trying to do many changes right now. It's difficult because there is a lot of people with views that maybe we should still be like certain people that came from Russia during the Soviet Union want to still be with Russia, but that it's a smaller amount of population, but it can create obstacles, or politicians that are corrupt, that have interests to maintain their influence, put obstacles in us joining the European Union. Although we have submitted an application, so I hope it will go through. But I think the corruption is one of the main things, and it obviously affects all facets of society, education, hospitals,
True.
where the funding goes. So
I think that's one of the main reasons why as you mentioned, 1/3 of the population is migrating towards Europe in terms of, better job opportunities, better lives, migrating to US. So yeah, I think, so is there like measures taken currently by the government? As you said, you have now progressive president in the country, female president. So are there measures taken actively?
Yeah, I would say so. She's doing a great job. Shortly after the invasion of Ukraine, I think Moldova, along with Ukraine, submitted EU applications. So that was a huge step. And she's continuously trying to fight corruption and implement positive changes. But it takes time. It's a slow process, but we're hopeful.
Have you recently been to Moldova? Like recently, in last 6 months or a year?
No, I haven't, because I was a new mom with a baby. It's a bit harder to travel. The last time I was is when my dad was sick with COVID a few years ago.
Have the situations improved? Because, the things between, it might have died down in media, between Russia and Ukraine, but things are still there, right? Things are still going on. So is it, how much is it like affected? You must be talking to your parents. Are the situation improving there in Moldova, or is it still in the same zone?
So yeah, I think things are still very tense, but I think Ukraine was supposed to have a meeting with Russia soon in Minsk. Maybe they already had it. But so Moldova isn't affected so much directly as indirectly at the moment. We received a very large amount of refugees. Some went through Moldova to go to other European countries. So in that way, and obviously it's very close, the border to Ukraine is, right there. So in that sense, it's impacting somehow, but not to the extent that the Ukrainian people are affected. So I talk to my parents regularly, and especially when it first happened, it was a lot more heart-wrenching. And as time goes by, you just get used a bit with a bad situation that you shouldn't get used to. The danger is still there, but just waiting day to day, praying things will be okay.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all of that. Because people do talk in news about Russia and Ukraine, but you don't hear as much about Moldova. It's a small place, so it's good to kind of let people know that there is this country which has also been affected by fight between two giants. So yeah, thank you for that. We'll come back to US. So when you came here, was there any cultural shock for you when you first time came to United States?
There were many little ones. I guess people are more, I think, are more free in their expression, how they go out. People usually try to dress up more when they go out in town in Moldova. But to be honest, I enjoy it in America, where people want to feel comfortable first, and if it looks nice to it, it's fine. Another thing is I didn't drive. Actually, that was a big thing. In Moldova, most people either walk or use public transport. So I didn't have my driver's license at the time, so it was a bit difficult to move around. When I first came back in 2014, I lived in San Antonio, Texas, and I would walk to certain places, but still it was limited. So I had to get my license later, and I'm the first person in my immediate family to drive.
So wow.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, and I love the diversity of food, cuisine, and people, of course. So in Moldova also has some diversity because it's been, different people from all these empires migrated throughout history, but in America is definitely a lot more diverse, and I love it. It's really great, and a few miles you can just try food from 10, 20 different countries. So
yeah,
that's really cool.
Great. Yeah, food is one thing that I think that binds everything together. I mean, this is what I have seen here in US. Like, you get food from all different countries. It is a bit of Americanized because when you ask people who are basically from, for example, like French, if you ask them like, French food, or Asian, like Korean, like if you ask them, oh, is this a original Korean food? Nah, it's Americanized, but you still get a feel of having that different cuisine. So even like I pretty much like it that, anytime you crave for Japanese food, you just, go to the sushi bar and just have whatever, you want to have, no matter what people call like it's Americanized or whatever. But at least I get a feel of it that I'm eating a Japanese food, right?
Yeah, for sure. By the way, there is a Moldovan restaurant in Newton, Massachusetts. So for local folks, you can
Newton. What's the name of the restaurant? I might as well go and try.
Called Moldova restaurant.
Moldova restaurant. Oh, I'm definitely gonna look for it.
And I would say the food is pretty authentic. Yeah, it's
Oh.
not really Americanized.
Oh, great. Good review. So I'm definitely going to go there.
And by the way, one of my favorite Romanian authors spent a good amount of time in India and wrote a book called Maitrey. I don't know if you've heard about it. They even made a movie called The Bengali Night with Hugh Grant based on it.
Oh, okay. Is it? I think I have heard about it.
Yeah, the author's name is Mircea Eliade, and he also he did a history of religions, like compared different religions. He learned Sanskrit while he was there. He
Well, thank you
really
for
liked
sharing that.
culture.
One last question for you. When you came to United States, like, did you have like an American dream? Like, have you ever felt like, oh, this is my American dream? When I go to America, this is my dream, and when I go there, I'm gonna, get on with it. Like, this is my dream. I'm gonna achieve it. Do you have anything in mind?
So I didn't have an American dream at that time because it wasn't my intention to come back to the States necessarily. It just happened naturally because I got married to my husband, so when I joined him here. But I do have a dream now. I would also love to have a podcast. I recently started my YouTube channel, Deep Dive with Diana. So yeah, I have many dreams now, and of course, America is a land of opportunities. It's a lot of opportunity to do things. It's great that, I love values, of freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom people can express themselves and try different avenues to express what they want to achieve their dreams. And that's awesome.
True. Thank you. We would love if you can, as an immigrant, say something, anything, a life lesson to other, Romanians who are here, other Moldovians who are watching this show, anything in Romanian language, anything.
Ok. Sunt mândră de tot ce ați reușit până acum. Continuați, persistați și sus inima.
That sounded very sweet. Please explain, what does that mean?
I said, I am proud of everything you have accomplished so far. Continue, persist, and keep your spirits high.
Thank you so much. That was so sweet and so motivating. Thank you so much for being on our show and giving your time. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you everyone for watching my immigration story. I am your host, Sujata Ramdeke. You can watch this episode on local channels or on our website, fcatv.org. I'll see you next time.